casting on a baby hat using a slip knot to start, and using the long tail cast on. I'm going to cast on 64 stitches by going under, over, through, under, over, through. So we have all the stitches on the needles now, and I did one extra because I'm going to do this little trick where I take one off the needle and pull one over, so we have a nice tight connection when we start knitting in the round. And then we mark the beginning of the round, the stitch marker, and we make sure all the stitches are not twisted, they're in the same position before we start our ribbing. So then we do the ribbing, which is knit one, purl one. And we do it for 11 rounds. And the first round, you have to really play with the stitches and make them go all the way around the needles. But after you get the first one done, they go really easily. You can see as you read your yarn, the bumps are the purls and the V's are the knits. You always read your yarn. The yarn comes from the right needle. So when you put it down, you know where you are because you always pick it up with the yarn on the right side. Slip the needle and start your second round. Finished our ribbing rounds, and we can count the stitches to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We don't count the cast on row. And then we can start the body of the hat by just knitting in this. That creates the stockinette stitch. Knitting every stitch, no more purls. And you continue to knit for about 18 rounds, which equals about 4.5 inches from the cast on edge. So we have done our stockinette to 4.5 inches as the pattern specifies from the cast on edge. So now we're going to start our decrease row, and the first thing we have to do is do the setup row for the baby size. We started out with 64 stitches, and now we're going to decrease on that the round before we start decreasing to 63 by knitting 2 stitches together at the end of the row. So now we're going to start our decrease row by knitting 7 and then knitting 2 together as the decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, knit 2 together. After the decrease row, you now knit a plain row. Just knit a row in between, and then the next row after this you'll decrease 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as the pattern specifies, with an extra row of plain stitch in between until you get to row 12. Then you just keep decreasing to shorten that decrease curve. but the circumference of the hat is getting smaller. So in a couple more decreases, we're gonna have to switch to the magic loop method by using a longer circular needle. So I'll show you when we get to that point. Now, decrease 6. Decrease after 6 stitches. So you knit stitch 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. Okay, and then a plain round, knit a plain round with no decreases. And as you can see now, these stitches are getting tighter, but I usually decrease the 5 and then I switch to the longer needle. Now we're going to knit 5 stitches and decrease 2 stitches, knit 2 together after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 2 together. And you can see that there's going to be a little band each time that's growing to show your increases. So we've just finished row 7 and decreased by 4, or knit 4, decreased 2, and we have 35 stitches left on the needle, and the circumference is getting smaller and the stitches are getting farther apart, so we're going to switch to the magic loop method by using this long 32-inch needle, and that helps us to create a smaller circumference. So we're taking the plain stitch row, taking advantage of that, so we can just get these stitches on this longer needle. It's a little cumbersome at first. So we're just doing a plain row on the longer needle so we can keep our decreases going. So now we have all these stitches on this long needle, and divide them in half. And keep decreasing. We're on row number 9, where we knit 3 stitches, decrease, or knit 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, knit 2 together, 1, 2, 3, knit 2 together, and then we turn our work and slide this needle through for the other half. Sometimes the stitches are a little tight over here. One, 2, 3, 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 2 together, and do the plain knitting row, and then knit 2 together, or knit 2 together, and I'll meet you back here for the last row. So we just finished row 12, and this is row 13. We're gonna knit 2 together and go from 14 stitches to 7. And in this version of the hat, we're gonna make the I-cord top with a knot in it, like this right here. So I'll show you how we do that. We do another round where we knit them together. Now, make my stitches a little more even here. So knit 2 together. Split that yarn. There we go. So now I have 4 stitches on the needle, and I'm going to make them all go to one side and have the working yarn come from the bottom, the left side, and slide it over to the front of this needle. And we're going to make an I-cord. And the way you do that is you don't turn the work anymore, you slide it down to the front of the needle again. And you knit about 17 rows like this for about a 4-inch I-cord. So you have room to tie a little knot in there. Cord is being created there to bind off. Okay, we have about 4 inches of our I-cord. So we're ready to bind off. And according to the pattern, we're going to knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and then slide 1 stitch over the next. And we're going to cut a length of yarn. Thread it on the needle. Pull it through that last stitch, and then remove the needle. I'm going to take the thread and put it through the inside of this cord and make our way down. I'm going to tie the knot. And then weave in the end. Go through a few stitches, different directions. And then you have this end to weave in. And I like to bring that on through the other side. And weave it through the ribbing. And there's